Welcome back, everybody, to the Wall Street Coach podcast. My name is Ann Curtin. I want to thank our sponsor, Centerpoint, for this conversation today with the one and only Pradeep Bonde. It's nice to have you here, Pradeep. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks.
One of the reasons I invited you here is how dedicated you are to teaching. You obviously care so much about other traders. I think when I see traders who find success for themselves, I'm sort of fascinated. What is it that encourages you to want to be a contribution to others when that takes a lot of time and commitment? So, before I talk a little bit about your bio, what is it that drew you to take what you had mastered and share it with other traders? Why do that?
I think part of it can be a personality related things. Even before getting into trading, when I was in my previous profession, also I used to go in the evening and teach MBA students and all. So it's been my passion to help other people, and at a more fundamental life philosophy level, I believe that if you want to be successful, you should create a tribe of people around you who are going in the same direction and who can also help you and support you, because we can criticize and talk a lot about the world, or we can create a world of our own, which is like basically the philosophy behind my way of thinking, and which I continue to do in other things also besides trading.
Wow. Are those
Mhm.
things that you feel comfortable sharing?
Oh, I have like a group of people whom I like, business people whom I do leadership coaching and mentoring.
Wow,
So that's another thing which I do. I do work with young people also
that's
to help
beautiful.
them like develop their personality, to develop their direction, or to develop their
Yeah.
career
Yeah.
focus.
So
So those are
this is
things, yeah.
this is a life. This is a life that you dedicated to giving back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing. It's
Yeah.
it's really quite impressive, and
Mm-hmm.
it's inspiring, but I imagine it's also uplifting and nourishing to you as
Yes.
well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
One of the things that really touched me looking at your website, which is stockbee.biz for our listeners, is how passionate the testimonials page was. Those
Mm-hmm.
are very, very robust and heartfelt testimonials. That has got to feel good to see that. Well, when
Mm-hmm.
did
Mm-hmm.
when did you really begin to create this community? I know you've been trading since 2020,
Mm-hmm.
but when did the community begin to grow? Because those testimonials are so impressive.
Yeah, I think I was trading on my own for first 6, 7 years, and then like around 2005 is when this blogging became a big thing, basically. And when the blogging became a big thing, is when I started writing my public blog, and that led to people coming and asking me questions: How do I do? How do I scan for this? How do I do this? And as a result of that, uh, when I help people, they started sending donations and saying, "Why don't you set up a website?" And so one of the person whom I was helping at that time to develop his trading and all, he said like, "I have this background in setting up communities and all." So he developed the website for me, and he continues to manage it in the background
That's
for
amazing.
me, basically.
That's
So.
beautiful. What a
Mhm,
beautiful thing to know that
mhm,
others are giving back to you after
mhm,
you've given to them. Uh,
mhm,
for the full background, I mean, this certainly isn't the full, but it's a mini background about Pradeep, everyone. He's been a full-time trader for the last 24 years. He is the inventor of episodic pivots and momentum burst setups. And he's trained several highly successful traders over the years, which I want to know who some of those are. And he is also the founder of Stockbee. Before he got into trading, he was the head of marketing for DHL and FedEx franchises in India. How much from your previous positions did you find helped you, facilitated your eyes as you came into trading? How did it serve you, if at all?
mhm. Yeah, it helps. It helps a lot, and a lot of my success is because of my previous background. Also, I think because there are two things. I was in marketing and advertising, which is a very creative field. So in that field, whenever you encounter a problem, you are taught to come out with a solution. Your mentality is to be creative, innovative, find a way around the roadblocks which you have. So that's very important in trading, because I see a lot of time traders, like, if they encounter problem, they just stop and they just, like, get paralyzed. They're waiting for somebody to come and give a solution. While in the beginning years, like, my background helped me to find solutions to my own problems. So this is not working. This top strategy is not working. So what can I do? What is the alternative? So creating this creativity innovation was one of the things which helped. The second thing is the kind of industries which I worked in, which was like both DHL and FedEx. They're extremely process focused industries. They are like in a very, very regimented. Everything is like designed and you have to do it that way. There are very few rule breaking kind of a allowed kind of a thing. So I brought that same mentality to trading. So I set up, like, and I call my trading as a trading factory. I have like set process. I do the same thing day in and day out, and almost everything is very regimented. Even though I'm not a algorithmic trader or a trader who's like, basically doing back testing and things like that. I am trader who's driven by, like, I do discretionary trading, but I do a discretionary trading with a tremendous amount of discipline, basically.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Do you find that having a regimented process facilitates your discipline?
Yes, so because one of the problem in the market is there is so much complexity, so much noise, and there is so much things happening around you that there is a cognitive dissonance, right? And you can get carried away by the external noise. When you have a set process and you're doing your own things and you're very, very regimented, your decision making becomes very high quality decision making, and you can shut out all the noise,
Yeah.
because there is noise. There are people telling you this is what is going to happen, economy is going to collapse, this is going, but at the end of the day, I don't care, because I just have a process. I follow my process, and it just if I follow my process, profit is the outcome of me following successfully my process, and that's the way trading should work, according to me.
I want to thank our sponsor, Centerpoint, for sponsoring the Wall Street Coach podcast. And if you're ready to experience 60 days commission free and their exceptional customer service, then please use our link to check them out. Now back to our podcast. Yep. The beginnings for a trader and their need to create that process or their particular discipline around their strategy and or the strategy they need to create for themselves. What is that timeline? I know you spoke in previous interviews. I've watched how it took you a good 2 years to kind of craft yours. What is the appropriate timeline traders should expect for themselves to create and craft that?
Mhm. Yeah, it takes like 2 to 3 years to really put everything together. The reason being that in the beginning, you're not very sure about uh, what is going to work for you. There are decisions which you need to make in terms of, do you want to become a day trader? Do you want to become a swing trader, a position trader? And a lot of time people spend months doing one thing, then abandon and abandon. So that is one of the things. But once you find a setup, right, once you find a setup in which you fits your personality profile and your risk tolerance and your, like, an expectations of profit, then the discipline becomes very critical, because there is an exploratory phase. When you're exploring, at that time you need to be innovative, creative, but once you find something, then you need to become more regimented to make sure that what idea you have found or the setup which you decided, you execute it, because that's the key challenge. And one of the ways in which people can reduce this learning curve or this curve is like, by mimicking somebody's successful style, right?
Yep.
So that's what I tell people: just copy a successful approach, because then you're going to reduce the time which you spent of 2 3 years flirting around with all kinds of things.
And I also heard you say specifically in Chris and Judah's with Investors Underground, friends of this podcast, that conversation called Trading Takes is that episode, if anybody wants to watch it, because it's a really good episode. You talked about the importance of traders getting themselves to that place where they can develop, you call it procedural memory. So talk about that timeline, because there is that exploratory phase, but then there is that procedural memory important for them to develop beyond, let's say, mimicking another trader's trades? When would they know, okay, I have to develop this now for myself?
Yeah, means like once you have a setup which works and which you figure out it works either for somebody or someone, the real challenge in trading is to uh, make it so part of you and so inherent to you that it is like riding a bike or driving a car. There should be no questions once the market opens and once you start trading. So that is what procedural memory is, which is the memory about procedures. And it's to develop that procedural memory, first you need to have a process, because you can only develop a procedural memory if you have a right process. And there is a feedback loop, because if you see, when a kid, they don't know how to eat with a fork or a spoon, and when they start attempting to do that, there is a feedback loop. The parents provide a feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
As a result, they can learn it much faster, because the parent, hey, don't pick up, like, you can't eat a pea with like this thing. You need to like use a fork or pick up a piece of. So there is a feedback loop which is required to develop procedural memory. Uh, but that is where the problem is for trading, because this is a solo profession where you're your own coach, your own like you're trying to develop yourself, and you need to get the feedback from yourself, and which is a big challenge for people, because that's one of the reason why people get so frustrated in the beginning years, because there is no feedback loop, and what you are doing, you don't know what you are doing is wrong. So the procedural memory, once it is developed, it becomes permanent. Like it's like there is you never lose that memory, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Did you find for yourself, as you began those first 2 years that you spoke about being, challenging, did you try to listen to certain gurus, learn or mimic them, or did you from the beginning say, I'm going to need to be self educating through this journey? How did it begin for you?
Yeah, means like I mimicked some of the traders who were at that time known traders, kind of a thing, and I read books, and I subscribed to a lot of services, and I found a trader who was very successful at that time, and I mimicked his way of doing trading, basically, and that allowed me to reduce my learning curve significantly, because when I found that particular kind of a methodology in a book, it made enormous sense to me from my personality perspective, what I was trying to do, and the total conceptually it made sense. Plus the process term, it made sense. So Mark Butcher, that's the guy whom there is a book called Hedge Fund Age in which he talks about short-term trading. So when I found a template, uh, and I intuitively knew that this is likely to work, and I put some trades and it worked, then I was like just committed to making sure that I have to make this work. Because if I can make this work, there is money in it, because at that time, at least, he was making a lot of money, and he was very very much in news for putting in triple digit kind of years. So I was very clear, if I can just without thinking too much, mimic and try and replicate what he does, then I'll get successful. And that's what happened. And then over a period of time, I innovated around what he was doing. I changed the whole original idea to my own idea. But the basic idea, because I got that idea ready-made, helped a lot.
Yeah, it feels almost like you got this template and then you made the template after experiencing it a lot into your own template.
Yes, exactly.
I'm so impressed with this episodic pivots and momentum burst setups, because, here you are, I mean, in one sense, only 20 years. And yet those things existed before, and yet no trader identified it. So, what do you attribute to your ability in a market that's been here for so long to have seen and identified and named these particular activities in such a precise way? What do you attribute that to? Your ability to have named it and saw it?
I think it's like those kind of setup existed. It's just like making it into a idea which people can understand and giving it a structure, because a lot of things in the market are like people have known, but like it's the same thing for anything thing in innovation, right? And people know how to make shoes, but somebody comes out with the shoes and names it Nike and like gives it a total packaging and everything. So same thing,
Yeah.
like the ability to understand that idea and to crystallize a process. The most important thing probably I did was like once I found that idea was to like convert it into a process so that anybody can replicate it. Like today, if anybody reads about episodic pivot or sees my video, they don't need me to tell them what to do. They
Right.
can completely replicate that setup. They can see whether it works, not works, and they can like in a step by step follow that thing. So creating
Yeah.
that structure and creating that complete process flow to convert that idea into a workable template and model is really what I think was one of the things which I managed to do for myself. I didn't do it for
Yes.
others, right? I
Yes.
did it for
Yes.
myself,
Yes.
and then that subsequently became a template for others to use.
Yeah. So it really, the heart of that is this comfort, I would say, with self-sufficiency. Is that something you would agree with?
Yes, I think all traders, I talk to a lot of traders because of my site, and also I know so many traders now outside of my site, and I get invited to talk to traders, and I know personally a lot of successful traders. Every successful trader has, besides the market knowledge and their setup and all those specific things, inherently they are self-leaders. They have high leadership quotient, or they have this inherent leadership ability, and that's why they are successful.
Yeah.
Knowing a setup is not going to make you successful if you don't have that inner drive and that leadership profile to say, okay, I can take this idea, make it work, and I can like, and if there are setbacks, then I can find a solution. If this doesn't work, I can find a solution. That's the number one, I think, and that ability, what is called as self-efficacy beliefs. That self-efficacy beliefs is the foundation of successful trading.
Yeah. I think it's something that probably is almost like the bar or gate of entry to ask yourself as a person going into trading, do you have that capability? Because if you don't, it's going to get to a point where you're going to not succeed without it. What do you find for your own journey over, even 2-3 years? It is easy to get discouraged, to be feeling demoralized. What for you helped you navigate through those difficult early years?
I think again it boils down to some personality factors also. There is like till now in my life, if I set my goal to do, I have never been a failure. So till I came to trading also, I had a track record of successes and some very big successes. So that inner confidence which I have, which is like, and I'm going to make it work, right? And basically it means I have got into other businesses besides trading over the years, and there again I didn't know anything. I got into automobile repair business. I bought franchises of Midas. At that, when I bought, I had very little understanding of car repairs or automobile industry, but I had the confidence that I can make it work, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's exactly what I see in successful traders, right? And when successful traders I see and talk to them, yeah, the tactics, what they do, what they say, trade is one part of it, but the other part of it is uh, some of them started with very little capital. They got discouraged, but they had that inner drive and that hunger that no matter what, they're going to make it work.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they are successful, and other people who try are not.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there moments where in that beginning, or even since, where you felt like, man, what have I got myself into?
Yeah, beginning years, lot of time, right? And because giving up a corporate job where you are guaranteed every 15 days salary, and also not like I was getting good money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to take this risk, and when you have months where you don't make money or you get lose capital, like part of your capital in a trade or something, you start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the fundamental challenge of this profession, that you need like a really great perseverance power and uh, positivity and optimism
Yeah.
to keep going, especially in the beginning years.
I want to thank our sponsor, Centerpoint. It's the trading platform where active traders thrive and receive exceptional customer service. If you're ready to experience 60 days, no commissions, sign up using our link. Now back to our podcast. Yeah. Where did your positivity and confidence, where does that come from?
It comes from my upbringing. It comes from my schooling, the kind of educational background which I had, the kind of job which I did before doing this. Uh, I, the corporate career which I had, I was highly successful. I went into a situation where there was a company which was in trouble and helped it turn around. So,
Mhm.
lot of success in life builds like if you are successful. Um, the success builds on itself, it builds your confidence, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And if you are not successful, then it decreases your efficacy or your belief about your own ability to do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even today I do things which are like, decides what I do here. I do like in a real estate investing and things like that, where again it's a question of you have the confidence, then you go not knowing much about a deal, because in real estate you see a property for half an hour and you have to make $1 million decision, right?
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, so
You
it's
you
a
you had a great tweet the other day where you were being asked about, fitness, and you talked about how important it was. And this is your
mhm,
quote. You said, my life is not dictated by trading. And I
mhm.
thought that was so powerful, especially because of who you are, what you do, and how much you clearly love it. Talk a little bit about the importance of not having trading dictate any trader's life.
See, most of the people who get into trading and who are successful, this was one who are successful, they're obsessive compulsive. Like personality time, they're obsessive compulsive. So that's why they make it in that business. But at the same time, in the beginning years, because you don't have enough money and you're not made it, yes, you need to dedicate everything. Trading becomes be all and end all of your life, right? But fortunately for me, I'm at a stage where like uh, I'm not really worried about money or ability to make money trading. So what I have done in recent years, as my life goals have changed, my other goals have changed in life, is to prioritize certain things. And trading is one of the priority. It's not like I don't have trading as a priority. It is still a
Right,
priority.
right, right.
But fitness is health is more immediate, like or that's a higher priority kind of a thing. And I try and design my life and my day around making sure that my high priority items are like as equally important as trading basically.
Mhm.
So I changed my trading style. I changed some of the things which I do to make sure that that is a priority.
Yes. And is that something you began to pay closer attention to over these past 20 years? Was there a point in your trading when you began to look about that big picture for yourself, for
Mhm,
your health?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, means like there are. I always like I try and do this every year. Like I try and take a break from trading and everything in my life and try and go on a either a long hike or a thing like that where I can reflect on what is happening in my life, right? And
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
so some 7 or 8 years ago, I went on a long hike in the European mountains, and when I was hiking at that time, when you're hiking, it's like you are not really distracted and
Yeah.
you're just focused, your mind can focus. So I was thinking through some of these issues as to what really is the purpose of trading and what really is the essence of good trading. And I came, and when in the mountains only, I wrote down some future guidelines for my trading as to how should be trading and what
Wow.
I want to do. And I want to spend as little time as possible trading and make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I prioritized after I came back, then I redesigned everything. I changed the kind of setups which I was trading. I changed the kind of stops I was putting in and all to make sure that I do make the money, but I am not spending all my life and just become one track kind of a person who
Yeah.
has no personality, no other life, and just does trading as a full passion kind of a thing.
Wow, that's such a special story that you shared, because I think it shows that even a successful trader has to stop, pause, and look at that big picture and
Mm-hmm,
pivot sometimes and redesign or reprocess for
mm-hmm,
themselves. That it sounds like you got like, how do I get to have trading serve my life, not
mm-hmm.
my life
Yes.
serve
Mm-hmm,
trading?
mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, powerful, really
Mm-hmm,
powerful. What strikes me about your approach is that process, orientated, staying true to those kind of processes you talk about in the corporate world, how everything had to be done a certain way. But then you also have this creative side to you,
mm-hmm,
even
mm-hmm,
how you talk about how a stock has a story. That is
mm-hmm,
so coming from the art creative side of
mm-hmm,
things.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think it's also such an approachable way for those who perhaps haven't been in finance for a bunch of years to really see that anybody can tune into a story. If you would just talk a little bit about maybe a recent ticker that to you was like a story unfolding that was so obvious for those who maybe know stories more than they know tickers.
Yeah. See, basically the market operates based on sentiments rather than the hard facts, right? And in the longer term, it always will be hard facts and financials and profitability and growth rates. But in the short term, the market is driven by completely emotions, right? And so you get and see now the recent example of story stocks is like this monkeypox. When the news of monkeypox came in, right, you have bunch of stocks which have gone up, and they gone up because they have something remotely related to monkeypox, or they are smart enough to just come out with a press release and say, oh, we have this molecule which we are going to have for putting in testing for monkeypox. And those stocks are doubled, tripled, right, in a short period of time. So that's a question of and that's how the market operates. Anytime, I remember very clearly, when Trump was the president, and one day he said that out of the blue, he said they are going to launch a space force, right? And when they decided to do a space force, everybody is scrambling around looking for which stock has space in its name, because there is no stock which is actually doing space related things. So they found a ticker SPCE, and which has space. It sounded like space, and that stock went up, right?
Oh my God.
And it's happened so many times, some couple of years ago, when Obama was the president and he changed the Cuba policy. And there are no Cuban stocks don't trade in the US market, obviously, because it's under embargo and all, right? But
Right.
people are looking for anything related to Cuba. So there was a ticker called Cuba, and that stock went up like 40%. For what reason? Because it has Cuba in its name, right? Our ticker is Cuba. So the market is in the short term completely emotion driven, and
Yeah.
you can make money from understanding that, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's just I love how approachable there's something about your style, having listened to you bring things that could be complex down to earth. You make it accessible.
Mhm,
That it makes a huge difference, I think, especially for traders who feel inundated with data. Is
mhm.
that something you work at doing, or do you feel it's just kind of how you communicate?
No, I think I have to work at it. Like, what I say is like, even when I train traders, I always say, "Okay, look, you will know that you have become a good trader, or you'll understand when you have a mind clarity. Because when you have a mind clarity about a thing, you can explain it in a very simple words
Yeah,
to
exactly.
anybody, right?
Yep.
And I mean, on my site, I run some of these contests and things to make things simple, right? So I ran a contest for a short setup which we are working on, and I said, write a guidebook for Kim Kardashian to so that Kim Kardashian should understand this. Or like, we had another contest where he said, like, if you have to teach Borat how to do swing trading, write a guide, and then people are forced to be simple, right?
Yes.
Means one
Yes.
of the great things about entertainment people like Borat and all is they make complex thing very simple for people to understand, because using metaphor and using imagery, some big political issues and social satire, they make it approachable for people to understand. And same
Yep.
thing for trading. If
So,
you understand thing, you can trade. If you
yeah.
don't understand, you cannot trade.
It's just so powerful. Who are some of the influences you've had? Yes, maybe traders or books. You spoke of a few already, but over your whole life, I'm thinking too, who has influenced you, inspired you?
There are a lot of things which like in trading I've read almost every book on trading I read, like, and I read like, basically, so I picked up from all other traders all the books on trading, but trading, I think what I picked up from trading more than that, what I picked up from other things which I read in my life, or
Yeah.
like, I do, which is like, the literature. I am a read classical literature, or I read like, good novels. If you read a good novel, you learn a lot about life. I like, if I read Gabriel Garcia Marquez novel, I understand world very differently, right? So the some of my influence of thinking has come in from that. Some of the books which I like a lot is Jonathan Livingston Seagull, because it's such a good metaphor for excellence.
One of my
So
favorite books.
yeah,
I can't believe it.
yeah, I've
So,
read it like I must have read it 1,000 times probably.
wow. So
Mhm,
I'm just so excited that you're talking about this because I love fiction. I know
mhm,
fiction is one of the best kept secrets for
mhm,
inspiration and standing in somebody else's
mhm,
shoes. So
mhm.
please keep saying some of your favorite novels.
Oh, like, I like Hemingway. I read all Hemingway's book. I've read a lot of books, like, basically, or Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I like books which are like, really something which is human heroic story, right?
Yeah,
And Hemingway, for that matter, is one of my favorite author, because Hemingway books are about heroism. And like, he was the person who found heroism in common life, right? And basically, The Old Man and the Sea is like, such a heroic tale of excellence, right? And pursuit in life of not sacrificing and not caring about the society and doing your own things. So those are some of the things which I really like. Also, like, I read a lot of biographies
hmm,
uh, outside of trading. Like,
yeah,
I like reading biographies, leadership books. So those are all things which help. It's just the totality of all the ingredients in your mental pantry which make a dish very unique kind of a thing.
yeah. So for the traders who say, why should I read fiction? What is it about fiction? How would you articulate how fiction can open up a trader's viewpoint of even their trading? Help enroll
I
them.
think the most important thing which fiction does is like it expands your mind in terms of possibilities, in terms of like understanding metaphors, understanding the world, right? And a lot of this understanding trading is also about understanding the small world of trading and stock behavior, right?
Yeah,
And fiction gives you multiple windows. Like, when you read a good book, it opens a window into a different way of thinking, right?
yeah,
And if I when I read these books by South American authors, it gives you a different perspective on life, because the life is very different in South American countries versus you read a European novel, the classical, like Herman Hesse, or you read the Kafka, or you read some of these older European author. They were coming from a very different life view, or that particular view was very, very different. So that allows you to form different mind models in your mind as to how things work. And then when you see anything which I see, whether it is trading related or I see anything in business or life, uh, those when you're making a decision, it's like the more qualitative things in your mind are, when you're making a decision, those thousands of things automatically comes into mind, and it allows you to make a better quality decision. And fiction makes you more creative. I mean, it's like one of the things, fiction definitely makes you more creative
Yeah,
because it allows you to escape into another world, right? And you read a Tolkien book, you are going to escape into a different world, right? Or you read Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's like you can see it's so well written book. You don't need to. I don't like the movie because movies don't do justice to the book,
right.
right? And but if you read the book, it creates that. Or if you even if you read Old Man and the Sea, you can smell the sea. You can like and feel
Yeah,
the tension, and you can feel the power of the book, right?
for
So
sure.
it allows you to live life, and as a result of that, your perspective about situation changes,
Yeah.
and that allows you to do a better quality decision.
Yeah, so true. Just how Jonathan learns how to fly. I
Mm-hmm,
remember feeling like I know how to fly now because
mm-hmm,
I've lived his
mm-hmm,
learning how to fly
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm,
dive or all
mm-hmm,
the different. And
mm-hmm,
that I think, especially for traders, is so critical. Being
mm-hmm,
comfortable looking at everything from multiple perspectives at
mm-hmm,
the same time. And I
mm-hmm,
don't know if there is as much emphasis on that creative process as
mm-hmm.
really there could be. But lucky for them, you're there out there advocating it because that's going to inspire them to consider it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, what else? I have so many questions still here. What I would love to know is what, when was it that you felt you were comfortable enough and confident enough in your strategy? How long did you test it? How much risk were you willing and comfortable to push into? Just some sense of that for the listeners so they have some tactical takeaways from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there is always like in life and in trading, there are two things. One is the actual strategy and process part and all, and there is a luck factor. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so luck is very important for anything in life, right? And it's a luck means like there are chance events, lucks which brings two people together, or like you meet somebody, or like you do. And
Yeah.
so luck was in terms of like when I started trading, I started trading in the depth of a bearish market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I perfected my method, a bull market started. So it was like, and also a lot of time traders start during a bull market and they're lucky,
Yeah.
right? So if you are lucky and if you get very successful, like by third year I had like made enough amount of money to understand that this is life changing kind of a game, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
But that was also because part of it was like the process which I was doing, but the big factor was external market. Like just after 2001 2002 it bottomed, and like in 2003 2004 if you're trading, uh, means there was no way you could not make money. It was just like stocks are making crazy amount of moves coming out of
Exactly.
a 2 year bear market. So I think that's also something which traders have to understand. Sometimes traders join and start trading in a market and the market is crummy, and they're going to be like, and they don't have the perspective for right reason because they don't know what is going to happen 1 year down the line. But if they had survived, they would have a good time, would have like changed their entire view of trading,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Do you
So much of
have
life is about this in terms of like in a chance events, and it's just that's the way movies and books are also again,
yeah,
right? Means if you see a
exactly.
movie like a bookstore owner in Manhattan is bored with his wife, and he just goes on Messenger and like and he happens to meet, that's luck, right?
It's a lot of luck. It's a
A
lot of
lot of
luck.
luck.
But that awareness is what I'm hearing you're saying is so important. As a trader, be very conscious of the conditions you've stepped into or experienced because those are cyclical. They're not going
Mhm,
to be
mhm,
always present, and
mhm,
you have to prepare accordingly, whether you're
mhm,
struggling or doing well.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that's what you learn if you spend years in this business. But for a beginner, and all beginners, most beginners get into trading when the times are good.
Yeah. It's
Nobody
true.
starts like when the times are bad, right?
But
So
you did. So how come? How come you
yeah,
were
I mean, so I
different?
started at the late end of the bull market, right? And I
That's
mean, when by the time I came to US, the dot-com boom was in full bloom. But I was not a trader at that time. I had a job.
true.
So like,
True.
and by the time I finished my job and I got into it, it was like the bearish market. And I
Yeah.
perfected my strategy during bearish market. So when the bull market came in, it was bingo, like, and I just like, and I minted money.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And a beautiful sequence. And it felt like with listening to your stories. Also, please, guys, listen to Pradeep's interview with the Alpha Mind podcast. Stephen Goldstein, who he just had me on his podcast, has great questions. And you talked about how you kind of had double bookends happen. You had your boss who was like dabbling in it, and then you had your ex-wife who was asking your advice. It was like
Mhm.
the universe conspired to get you into this as a
Mm-hmm,
trader.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and means like that's how life turns
Yeah,
out, right? And many
yeah.
times I like the same thing happened to me in my previous life, right? I was like in previous career, I was traveling in a car with us two other people, and we are talking about saying, look, and I need to become a marketing manager. If there is a job for marketing manager, I'm ready for it. And that guy happened to know somebody in a company which were looking for marketing manager. He called me saying, hey, next day, do you want to go for an interview? So
Wow.
chance events play a means there is this whole theory called surface area of luck, which is like people think luck is like luck is luck, but you can increase your surface area of luck by surrounding yourself with people who are going in the same direction, talking more about your aspiration, talking more about things, because then somebody else who has the solution to it, or who is also in the same boat, or who knows something, uh, he tells you, hey, here, go do this kind of a thing, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it just opens up a door.
yeah.
Like I want to get into this real estate thing, flipping houses, which is what I nowadays are involved in. And I wanted to do it for many years, and I kept talking in everybody I met and something. And then one day I met somebody, and he said, hey, there is a friend of mine who does this. Do you want to go and meet him and talk to him? And I went and met him, and he gave me all the ideas. And so
Wow.
you increase your surface area of luck by
Yeah,
talking to other traders. You
yeah.
increase your that's why when people say I'm going to sit in a cave and become a good trader, it's not going to happen. It's not
No,
going to happen.
such a good point. Such a good point.
Mhm,
I'm pretty sure it was Pax Trader who said that he used to ask people if they considered themselves lucky,
mhm,
because he felt those who did consider themselves lucky usually were more
mhm.
lucky.
Yes, yes. And that's the
Right?
theory of surface area of luck also. That like you think you're lucky, then you talk to more people about it. There are people who think if they talk to others, then like the others will work against them, so they don't talk.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
but it's
Totally.
contrary to
Totally.
that. You talk
It's
to other traders, randomly something comes in. I was like talking to somebody, and which was not even a discussion, another trader, and we were discussing something, and he said this is how he exits a trade, and that rang immediate bell in my head. Oh, this is the solution to the problem which I've been thinking about for last 2 3 months. So chance encounter and lucky things play a very important role.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so glad you spoke to that. You spoke briefly in one of the interviews about your suggestion that traders do a mini deep dive, be it daily or weekly, and then
Mhm,
even though it is so critical and so powerful, many won't do it. So talk a little bit about what that looks like for a trader, and
mhm.
speak to why you would encourage them to take that on, even though they're tempted to not do it.
Yeah, I think the fundamental challenge of trading is it's a complex field, and if you are to make it work, you cannot just scratch the surface and make it work. Like you can just not read a book on trading and make it work. You need to go into the depth, and you don't need to get into a depth of just 5 feet. You need to really get into the depth to really understand a setup, understand a particular chart pattern, or to understand a thing. And once you understand, then you can make it work. And this is where deep dive comes in, which is like the deeper in anything which we do, right? And it's not only in trading. If I want to learn, say, French cooking, I can't just go and do a 6 week course in French cooking and become a French cook, right? And yeah, you can theoretically make a French omelette or do some couple of dishes, but you're never, right? You need
Yeah.
to go deeper into things.
Yeah.
The good chefs, if you talk to them, they know so much about food and culture and things like that. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. If you
Yeah.
want to become a good trader, you have to go deep.
Yeah.
And there is a mismatch between people's expectation. Everybody comes into this field with the expectation, Lamborghini. I will have two blondes on my one arm, and I will have like all these bikini clad women chasing me. So that gets, but that's not the reality, right? The reality is you have to really understand the business. Whatever you're going to trade, put in a lot of effort and make it work. And that is the story of every successful trader I talk to,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
While the imagery which people sell in this business is all like fancy cars and
Mm.
things like that, yeah, I mean, that is something which happens if you are lucky and you're successful, and it happens after 25, 30 years. By the time you're 50, 60-year old, then you
Mhm.
get all those blondes, right?
Exactly, exactly. What your beautiful wall. I see Salvador Dali. I see a Vermeer, the girl with the earring. Uh,
Mhm,
what does that wall and your environment, how does it inspire you? What is that? Tell me a little bit about that
mhm.
wall.
Mhm. Yeah, so you can only see one wall. There is another wall which is full of paintings. So, like, I come in from this whole philosophy of that if you want to be creative and innovative in your life, then you need to be surrounded by a piece of innovation and creativity which can inspire you or gives you some idea, or you never get bored. So I have like Banksy paintings, and I have paintings from different artists and all. The whole office, the whole area. If I can show you, like, if you
Yeah.
see here.
Oh, wow.
So
It's
it's all like
beautiful.
the idea is you surround yourself with people with creativity, ideas. Your environment should be creative. Your whole approach to life should be creative,
Mhm.
and then you automatically become more creative, right?
Yep, you will. You just the inspiration alone
Mm-hmm.
is going to force that. Uh, all right, stockbee.biz. If somebody wants to join you, tell them a little bit about what the experience is like if they come to your site and decide to work with you. What would that look like for them? Overview.
So essentially, for those of you who are looking for swing trading as a way of doing trading, right, and a short-term trading, basically, whether it is day trading or swing trading, then it's a community of traders where uh, there is ready-made templates available of how we trade, the entire process flow, the total daily, like an every day. I do three meetings, one at 9 o'clock, one at 10 o'clock, one is at 3 o'clock, where I run the scan and I explain which stocks which I'm going to select, why I selected this, or what kind of stocks I'm going to select. So I am one of the person who trades, but besides me, there are many other people in the community who have their own unique style which they have developed. Some of them mimic my style, but they do a different twist to it. Some of them have developed their own style. So it's a community where people help each other to become good trader, basically.
Mhm.
And it can be overwhelming for new traders who come in, because there's so much information and there are like 1700 videos and there are like a lot of resources, different style. But people find their ways, and many traders over the years, I don't have to say, they say themselves that they found their trading setups or their method, and they took it, and then they've gone on to make millions of dollars or big money.
Yeah.
So there are a
Yeah.
lot of traders who have developed through this over the years. Thousands of traders on Twitter, you can see they develop. And why they've developed is because of this approach which we have on our site of saying, okay, do a deep dive every day, look at stocks which have made the move, have a very regimented approach, have a checklist, find a context for every setup, enter a setup, look at what went wrong in a trade, and try and fix it in 48 hours or 24 hours, so that you're continuously improving your
Mhm.
way of doing trading. So that's the approach. It's more a philosophical approach, in addition to being a template for trading.
Yeah, it just you just come. everything about you feels like you are just bringing equal parts of that left brain strategic analytical factory process with equal parts of creativity, of story, of really being creative in how you approach it. It just feels like a really harmonious balance of the left and right brain.
Yeah.
It's really quite something. Thank you for coming on this podcast.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was good
and
fun. Yeah.
having this conversation. I enjoyed it immensely. And I have
Same
to go.
here.
I have to go read Jonathan Livingston Seagull again. It's been a few years, although I have it on my shelf. Thank you, Pradeep, for coming on. And I hope the rest of your week goes really smooth.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you have subscribed to the Wall Street Coach podcast. And if you haven't, it's time to do so. See you on the next podcast.